Okay, so the topic for this video is going to be way more philosophical than in the previous videos that I made. The things that I'm going to say in this video, usually middle-aged and old people say these things, but the things that I'm going to say are coming from a 21-year-old. I'm 21 years of age, and I have learned a lot of life lessons at a very young age. And in this video, I just want to explain the life lessons that life has taught me. Usually, old people say these things, but I am a 21-year-old saying these things. I have lived a very messy life from my teenage years all the way to now, and I've learned a lot of things throughout this time. These are things, life lessons that usually people in their older ages understand and realize. But I've learned these things from a very young age, at the age of 21. So these are life lessons at a very young age. The first life lesson that I would like to start with is actually a quote said by Elon Musk. Elon Musk said this quote: "When something is important enough to you, you will do it even if the odds are against you." When something is important enough to you, you will do it even if the odds are not in your favor. And the way that this quote applies to my life is, I remember how I started my YouTube channel back in 2023 when I was doing Spanish videos. I did not have a lot of views, my content was careless, it was sloppy, but it was very, very important to me. And I kept going with my YouTube channel. I had very bad conditions. The conditions were against me, but I still kept going because it was very, very important to me, to keep trying and expand my YouTube channel. So that's an example from my life. When something is important enough to you, you will do it. You will find a reason to do it even if the odds are against you. And here's the second life lesson. And this is actually a quote said from a very, very famous movie that's one of the best movies ever made, The Dark Knight. If you're really good at something, never do it for free. The Joker said it in The Dark Knight, again, one of the best movies ever made. If you're really good at something, find a way to make a living off of it. This is my reinterpretation of the quote. If you're really good at something, find a way to make a living off of it. The way that this life lesson applies to me is that when I started my YouTube channel, I saw myself succeeding with my YouTube channel, even though it took a very long time to do so. And I knew that I'm very good at making content creation, even though it was initially bad, later became good. But it was very important to me, and I liked doing it, so I figured, okay, if I'm really good at it, why should I do it for free? So if you're really good at something, you have to find a way to make a living off of it. And YouTube is my job right now, and it will be in the future, because I really like this job. I'm really good at making content creation and education, and I'm also really good at video gaming. Video gaming is a topic that I'll bring up in the end of the video. But the point is, if you're really good at something, like me doing content creation, creating content, why should I do it for free? I should find a way to make it my job so that I can like doing it. If you're really good at something, try to find a way to make it your job or transform it to be your job. Make it your job. Another life lesson is, if you want to achieve your dreams, it's not enough to work hard. You have to want to work hard. Of course, in the context of, nowadays, when you tell people they have to work hard, they work hard carelessly. They don't really care when they work hard. That's because they don't see themselves succeeding. In my opinion, you have to see yourself succeeding in the near future or in the distant future or whatever. You have to see yourself as successful, and you have to want it, right? It has to be intrinsic. It's not enough just to work hard. You have to want to work hard. You have to have the desire inside of you. Okay, you have to see yourself doing this thing that you want to do over your life. And this even connects to the previous life lessons that I mentioned. When something is important enough, when you find a way to make a living off of it, you will want it. If you want it, you will find a way to get it. And the point here is that, everyone has different dreams, and you have to work hard. But it's not enough to work hard. You have to want to work hard. A lot of people know what they have to do, they just don't want to do it. So it's not enough to work hard, you have to want to work hard. Now, because I live in the United States, if you're watching this outside of the United States, there's this thing called the American dream, where basically you buy land and you make a family and you live, happily ever after. And many people nowadays completely don't believe in the American dream because they don't think that working hard is enough. On one hand, they're absolutely right. In this economy and in this day, working hard is completely not enough. A lot of people work hard, but their effort doesn't pay off, which is very, very sad. But my point is, in terms of your dreams, everyone has different dreams that they want to achieve. And to achieve your dream, you have to want to work for your dream. My dream was to become a YouTuber, right? Even though I never saw myself succeeding. Back in 2018, when I was an immigrant, when I had bad English, when I had no friends, I wanted to become a YouTuber, but I couldn't because I had different conditions. So this is the way that this life lesson applies to me. I saw myself succeeding, and it was very important to me, and I found a way to make a living off of it. It was my dream, and it still is my dream, to be a YouTuber, content creator. And I wanted it, and I still want it. And when I started making my content in 2023, I wanted it. I kept going, even though it was very bad. I kept going with my content because I wanted to make more content. I wanted to achieve my dreams, and I achieved my dreams. So it's not enough to work hard, you have to want to work hard. Another life lesson that applies to the previous life lesson that I just mentioned is that you have to make yourself care about your dreams. You have to make yourself care to achieve your dreams. You have to see yourself as successful. And the way that this life lesson applies to me is that, again, with the previous life lesson, I worked hard, I wanted to work hard, I cared about my content, and that's how I succeeded, right? So, just having the desire to work hard and then having the desire to care about what you work and how you work, two completely different things, but they connect. They very much connect. On one hand, you work very hard, but on the other hand, you care about the work that you put in. You care about the effort that goes into your work. So, you have to want it and you have to care for it. You have to give yourself a reason to care. Because if you don't care, you'll find excuses. If you want to achieve something, you'll find a way to do it even if the odds are against you. This is tying back to the previous life lesson. You have to care about the work that you're putting in. It's not enough to work hard. You have to want to work hard to achieve your dreams. And you also have to make yourself care to achieve your dreams. Because if you don't care, why should others care for you? You have to care about yourself. You have to take care of yourself and of the work and of the effort that you're doing. A lot of people have this mindset of like, oh, I'm probably not going to succeed. I'm probably not going to try doing this or doing that or doing whatever. That's because they don't care. A lot of people that I knew personally had this mindset of, oh, I'm not going to try doing this because I'm probably going to fail, or I'm not going to do this, I'm not going to do that. And this mindset kills you, right? If you're thinking to yourself, oh, I'm not going to succeed, I'm not going to do this or whatever, you're afraid of trying. Yeah, that's because you don't care. And if you don't care, you'll find excuses. You'll find ways to avoid it. But if you care and if you want it, you'll find a way to do it. You'll find a reason to keep going. And these points that I just mentioned here, these are like, mini life lessons that apply to the previous one. If you care, you find reasons. If you don't, you find excuses. If you actually care and if you actually want to work hard to achieve your dreams, you start to think productively. You start to think around your idea. Instead of finding excuses, you find reasons to achieve your dreams, right? If this method failed, you get to do this one. If this one failed, you get to do that one. The way that this life lesson applies to me personally is that I remember when I started my YouTube channel, initially it was in the summer of 2023, my idea was to make a language channel, and it was basically like put a camera or a phone on like a small stand and then put a board underneath and then write things with my hands so that the camera would only record my voice in my hands. I did like 5 or 6 videos in the beginning and I never uploaded them because it was just very, very sloppy. But then I thought to myself, okay, if this method doesn't work, I have to try to find a different one. So I didn't find an excuse. I found a reason around the system. I found a reason to keep going because I cared and I wanted it, right? When I was doing my content, I had bad content, but I found a reason to keep going. I cared. I found a reason and found a different way to make content. If this doesn't work, I'll do this one. If this doesn't work, I'll do that one. Just the reasons and the methods, they just keep going and going and going. If you care, you find reasons. If you don't, you find excuses. If you want to achieve something, you will find a way to do it. Nothing will ever stop you. And this is another life lesson that connects to this one. If you want to do it, you will find a way to do it. And if you don't want to do it, you'll avoid it. If you want to do it, nothing will ever stop you. You will always find a reason to keep going. So if you want to achieve your dreams, if you want to work hard, if you care enough to work hard, if you truly want to achieve whatever you want to achieve, you will always find a reason to keep going. You will always find a different technique or a different method or a different strategy, regardless of how bad the conditions are. If it's very, very important for you, you will find a way to do it, even if the odds are against you. Again, this ties back to the first life lesson that I mentioned. Another life lesson here is that you have to get out of your comfort zone in order to achieve your dreams, or you're going nowhere. You have to get out of your comfort zone and you have to get used to it. You have to get comfortable outside of your comfort zone. And the way that this life lesson applies to me is that in the beginning, when I was making my language content on my channel, I had to get used to my voice, even though I never heard my voice coming from the third person. So because my content is mostly faceless and just, showing language concepts and grammatical concepts, I had to get used to my voice and I had to get used to how I sound to myself. In the beginning, I did not really like it, but I had to get used to it. I had to get out of my comfort zone and I achieved my dreams. I kept going. I cared. I gave myself a reason to care. I had to get out of my comfort zone. So you have to get out of your comfort zone or you're going nowhere. Get comfortable outside of your comfort zone. All of these life lessons that I just previously mentioned, with the caring and with the desire and when something is important enough, find a way to make a living off of it. All of these life lessons that I just mentioned, these are, so to speak, general life lessons that people should acknowledge, but they don't really care about these life lessons. These are life lessons that you can tell people, but they're not really going to listen to you because it's hard to accept them. But these are life lessons that I learned at a very young age. They're more general than specific. Okay, I have other life lessons on this list that I would like to mention, and these will be a bit more specific than the previous one. So now this is where we're getting personal with the life lessons. Another life lesson that I learned at a very young age is every experience in your life is a memory for the future. Everything that you go through in life, you do it once. You will never get to do it again. Now, granted, you can replicate some experiences later in your life, but the whole point specifically is every experience in your life is the memory for the future. I personally cannot relate to this life lesson specifically because I have had bad times in my teenagehood. So for this life lesson specifically, I would like to use a hypothetical story that personally did not happen to me, but it happened to some of my friends when I was in high school. So for this life lesson, I just want to specify on a hypothetical scenario when you're a kid in school. Imagine that you're like a 15-year-old kid in high school, right? In the United States, maybe you're a sophomore, you're a 10th grader in high school. It's an average day in school. You go to your math class, then you go to your English class, then you have lunch with your friends, then you go to your, I don't know, science class, then history class, then you and your friends go to some club after school, you get to have fun, and then you and your friends, you go to some event during the evening. Maybe it's a sports event, maybe it's some other event, who knows? And then after, you have fun at the event, you and your friends go to some fast food joint, like Chick-fil-A, McDonald's, Wendy's, whatever. You go to some restaurant and then you just, you eat food, you laugh, you have fun, and then basically the day ends. Now, when you're in school, this experience feels very repetitive. It's easy to say these things when you're in school, but it's hard to accept them when you're out of school. Now, the point of this life lesson, the hypothetical scenario that I just gave, this is an experience that will be a memory for you in the future. When you're in school, you think that these memories, these experiences will be forever. When you're in school, you think that you will forever be stuck in school. But then, 10 years later, you're no longer 15, you are 25. And all of your friends have different lives. One is married and has a family. The other is in a different country. The third one might be in prison. All of your friends have different lives. And then you reflect back on the experiences that you had in high school. And you're thinking to yourself, wow, that was a memory. So every experience in your life is a memory for the future, because you cannot go back in time to change the memories that you had. So make them all you can. This is the life lesson here. Every experience, or at least every new experience in your life is a memory for the future. You cannot go back in time to change the memories that you had. So make them all you can, because you don't have access to your past. So these experiences become memories. Now, of course, again, when you're in school, it feels like you will be there forever. And it feels like every experience that you have will just be repetitive because it's the same schedule. But then, 10 years later, maybe 20 or maybe even 30 years later, you will not be able to go back to your younger years and make new memories. So make them all you can. Another life lesson that I learned that connects with this one is one that involves aging. With age, the only way is up, okay? With age, the only way is up. I am 21 years of age. I have passed my childhood, my pre-teenagehood, my teenagehood, and now technically speaking, I am an adult, even though I still have the kid mindset because I'm 21 years of age. I'm not in my late 20s, I'm in my early 20s. Now, the way that we can expand this life lesson with age is that when you're in school, it feels like you will be stuck there forever, right? I remember when I was in high school, I was a 13-year-old freshman, 9th grader in high school, and I thought to myself, I'll be 13 forever. I'll be, when I turned 14, 15, 16, 17, I still treated myself like I'm a 13-year-old. I did not really appreciate and respect my age when I was young. But then, 5 years later, now I'm almost finishing my university and graduating from it, and I'm 21 years of age. Only at age 21, only when I became 21 years of age, did I realize, oh, I cannot go back to my teenagehood. I'm not going to be a teenager ever again. I'm not going to be a kid ever again. Now again, when you're in school, it's easier to say these things, but it's hard to accept them. Because when you're in school, you think you will be there forever, and you think that you're young forever. But then, 10 years later, you're an adult, you're in your mid-20s, and you cannot go back to your teenagehood. And I learned this lesson just recently. Only when I became 21 years of age, I realized I will never be a teenager. So with age, the only way is up. I understood and realized this life lesson only when I became 21. Not when I was a teenager, not when I was a kid, when I was 21. And this life lesson can even be expanded to any age. I cannot pick my age. When I turn 60, I'm not going to be able to go back to my 50s. When I turn 80, I'm not going to be able to go back to my 70s. If I become 100, maybe if I'm lucky, I'm not going to be able to go back to my 90s. I cannot pick my age. So with age, the only way is up. Even though this life lesson has a lot of truth to it that's very hard to accept and very hard to realize as you age, there is actually a good side of this life lesson. And this is another life lesson. Good things will come with time. Given enough time, good things will come. As time goes by, you start to age, and you cannot go back to the previous age you had. We as human beings, we think that we have all the time in the world until it runs out. We have all the time we want. We think that we can travel. We think that we're going to have a family. We're going to have, kids. We're going to have friends. We're going to have a good job until the time runs out. And then we don't have the time, and we don't have the energy, and we don't have the money to do the things that we wanted. So, it's very hard to accept this life lesson, and it's very hard to realize it, as you age. But on the other hand, good things will come with time. And the way that this life lesson applies to me personally is that when I was doing my YouTube channel, because again, my dream was to become a YouTuber, good things did come with time on my YouTube channel, right? I was uploading content from like June to like December of 2023, just doing bad Spanish content. But then, I made a very big video that got a lot of views, and then the effort paid off. So good things did come with time. So given enough time, you have to really utilize your time. Do not rush time. And this is another life lesson. You don't want to rush time. Time is precious in your life. You only get one life and one life only. So help your body so that it can help you. Help your life so that it can help you. Help your job so that it can help you. Because again, we don't want to waste time. We think we have all the time in the world until it runs out. But good things will come with time, given enough time. You don't want to rush time. You want to be patient with time. Use your time wisely. At this point, we're getting to the final two life lessons that I have on this list. And for these life lessons, these are things that I will expand upon in my next video. I will be making another personal video after this one, where I will be announcing me opening another channel involving video game. But again, this is a topic for the next video. But these final life lessons, I learned them approximately 2 years ago when I started my YouTube channel. These life lessons are the most important life lessons that you have to acknowledge and you have to realize. In my opinion, they're the hardest to accept, and they're the hardest to realize. They are the most truthful, in my opinion, right? And I learned these things when I started my YouTube channel. People should really, really pay attention and realize and accept these life lessons. If you always try, you will never fail. If you always try, if you always keep going, and if you always try, you will never fail. And this life lesson is kind of an offshoot from Thomas Edison's quote. Thomas Edison has a quote that says something like, "I have not failed, I've just found 10,000 ways that don't work." Thomas Edison invented the light bulb, and he said something like, "I did not fail, I just found other ways that didn't work." And Thomas Edison, being a very brilliant thinker, he found other methods, right? His initial methods did not work, but he did not fail. He just found other methods that worked. The same way that, with my YouTube channel, when I started, I always tried, I always kept going. This method did not work, I used this one. This one did not work, I used that one. With my YouTube content, I kept going with my videos. I did some language videos, and I did some educational videos on my channel. But I always tried, and I always kept going. This is how this life lesson applies to me as a YouTuber, right? Because, YouTube is my job. Even though I'm a very small YouTuber, it still applies to me. If you always try and you see yourself succeeding, you will never fail. If you always try, you will never fail. Never. So this life lesson is very, very important to know. And here, we're getting to the final life lesson, which in my opinion is the most important to know, and it has the most amount of truth to it, and it's the hardest one to accept. And it's because of this life lesson that most people's dreams are broken. And what I'm talking about here is you never know how successful you will be until you try. You will never be able to know how good you will be and how successful you will be until you try to achieve whatever you want to achieve. It's because of this life lesson that most people are afraid to make mistakes. They're afraid to try because they're afraid it's not going to be perfect. They're afraid that nobody will watch them or nobody will acknowledge them or whatever. You can think about your dreams all you want. You can think, you can believe in your dreams. You can see yourself doing your dreams. But until you try, you will never know how successful you will be. You can think about it, you can believe in it, you can see it, but until you try, you will never know. You will never know how good you can be at one thing or maybe many things. The moment that you try to do whatever you wanted to do this whole time, you will probably be successful because you're trying. The way that this life lesson applies to me personally is I said previously that I'm going to be opening another channel involving a video game. Now, I remember when I opened this channel, The Language Bro, where I put language videos and grammatical concepts on the languages that I know. I never knew how successful I would be until I tried. I kept trying. I kept going, and I kept trying and putting more videos until I became successful. In my dream, and I said this in my very, very first personal video, A Tale About Not Seeing a Future. If you have not watched that video, I would recommend that you do so. A Tale About Not Seeing a Future. In that video, I mentioned that my dream was to become a YouTube gamer, a YouTube video gamer specifically. My dream in general was to be a YouTube content creator, or just content creator in general. But specifically, I wanted to be a YouTube gamer, and I can afford to open another channel for myself. I can afford to achieve my dreams. I care, I want to make a living off of it, and it's very, very important to me. So the point here is that When I will be opening a gaming channel, I'm not abandoning this channel, for anybody wondering. I am not abandoning this channel. I'm just opening another channel involving video gaming as a way to expand my business and as a way to achieve my dreams. I can think about it all I want. I can think about opening a video game YouTube channel. I can believe in it, but I don't know how successful I will be until I try. Maybe I will be successful, maybe not. Maybe it's going to be an average channel. Maybe it's going to be a very big channel. I don't know what's going to happen with that until I try. And that's the point. That's the conclusion with this life lesson, and that's the conclusion of this whole video in general. My goal was to become a content creator video game, but I never saw myself succeeding. Now I can afford these things. I can afford to open a channel, and I can afford to achieve my dreams, or at least to try to achieve my dreams. But I don't know how successful, I don't know what's going to happen with my conditions until I try. I first have to try and then experiment and then see how good I will be. I can think about the channel all I want. I can theorize, I can hypothesize, I can do whatever, but until I try, I don't know how successful I will be. And this is the topic for the last personal video that will come after this video, for now, at the very least. After this video, I'll be making another personal video where I will be talking about my dream job, opening another channel involving video gaming. My dream job. My dream job was to be, a YouTube video gamer or, content creator video gamer, specifically. And that's literally my dream job. And that's the topic for the last personal video, for now. My dream job of being a content creator video gamer. And that's the conclusion of life lessons at a very young age. All of these life lessons that I said in this video, some of these life lessons I learned when I was 19, some when I was 20, and some when I was 21. And usually these are things that older people learn and realize and understand later in life. But I have understood these things from a very young age. These are my life lessons that I learned at a very young age, at the age of 21, being a university student. These are life lessons at a very young age. Thank you for watching. Peace.